Hello, my name is Trent Herbert, and I graduated from SIBI in 2018 and from the School of Missions in 2019. I am currently part of a church planting team in West Seattle, Washington. We've been on the ground for just over a year now, and we've had 3 baptisms and have a small core group of people that we worship with. The question was asked, what have you learned in ministry since leaving Sunset? Well, the short answer is a lot. One thing that we learned was things can change really fast. We as a team had a plan together for our first year, and all of that went right out the window with the onset of COVID and with the social distancing rules. We had just started to meet in a rented space when, in an instant, we were in lockdown. But we learned how to be flexible. We learned how to think outside of the box, to embrace the tools that were around us like Zoom and other video platforms. We had to return to pen and paper, writing cards of encouragement and learn to be flexible with where we would worship. We started to meet in our backyard around the fire, and our songs of praise were heard by our neighbors, and it opened up doors and windows, and it even reached people on the street. We learned to try new things. We learned to not be afraid to fail, having the faith that God will accomplish His purposes through us. The biggest lesson that I learned, and I want you to take away, is the need for faith, hope, and love. James writes that faith without works is dead. We do the work that our faith calls us to. In Hebrews 11, over and over again, we see by faith, by faith, by faith. We are being called by God to enter a foreign land and to live as aliens among the people. And by faith, we carry out that work. Faith, as defined by Hebrews 11:1, is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. If you're in school, then you've already stepped out in faith, trusting that God will provide for you. I can testify that God is faithful. When we left for school, we didn't know where we would live, how much support we would have. I came down with 6 children, and I left with 7 and a new son-in-law. When we decided to make the Northwest our mission field, we again didn't know how much support we would have. And you have to be willing. You have to be willing to walk out in faith and trust to go wherever you're called. I learned to have steadfast hope or an unshakable, confident expectation that what God promised is true. That hope brings peace and it brings calm even in the storms of life. This is something that people can see, that they can pick up on. They'll even ask, how can you be so calm? It's because I have faith and hope in the God that I serve. And right now, the world is desperately searching for hope. Now is the time for the people of God to demonstrate that hope. I learned to labor in love. We labor for what we love. In other words, we work hard, not just work. You labor to meet the needs of the people because you love them. Jesus said that by this all men will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. You must love what you're doing. I was told repeatedly at school, if you could do anything else, you should do that. It took me a while to understand what that meant. See, not everyone in the world is going to love what you're doing or who it is that you represent. We've been cursed at, called names, had people turn away from us and return to their old life. It breaks my heart. I don't want to see anyone slip away. But I have faith that God will plant those seeds. See, we've learned to work hard, to labor for love, and to have steadfastness of hope. Paul championed these actions in the lives of the early Christians, and he commended the church in Thessalonica for their work of faith, their labor of love, and their steadfastness of hope. We talk about the importance of spiritual disciplines as a foundation for our lives, and it's so true. If we're not living out faith, hope, and love, we're just like the fig tree that Jesus cursed in Mark 11. We look good, we say the right things, but the fruit's not there. I really love an illustration that Alice, one of the ladies in our Wednesday night class, shared. She's a cook. She said you can create the most beautiful dish, But if you forget the seasoning and it's off, when they take a bite, they're going to know and they're going to send it back. See, if people see us and we look good and we talk good, but when they try us, they recognize something is off, they're going to walk away. I encourage you to be genuine, to live out what you believe. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Sacrifice your time for others. Live out a life of faith, hope, and love, because it is God who works through us to accomplish His goals. May God's peace and grace be with you.